It is Tuesday, May 5th, 2015. It is Taco Tuesday and Cinco de Mayo. Basically, it's a national holiday for me. My boyfriend of 3 years at the time, his name's Christian, and he still had that new boyfriend smell. We were getting ready to go to the store and get everything we needed for our taco and nacho dinner. But right before I decided to call the doctor because something wasn't feeling right with my body. So instead of going to the grocery stores, we found ourselves at the doctor's office. We're sitting there and the doctor says, it's anal cancer. I kind of anticipated it, but I didn't want to hear it. You know, like when you're gonna be in a car accident and you're just waiting for the hit? So I looked down at the floor and I took a big sigh, and I cannot neither deny or confirm that a tear rolled down my cheek. But I felt the doctor get up and stand in front of me, and he said, look at me. And I find myself looking at his shoes, nice shoes. And he says, look at me. And I probably made it up to his knees. And I said, I'm fine, I'm fine. He put his hand on my shoulder, squeezed a little, and he raised his voice and said, look at me. When I looked at him, he said, we got this. And I knew I could trust him, that I can count on him, that he was gonna be with me till the end. Because usually doctors tell you, everything's gonna be okay, you're gonna get through this. But he said, we got this. Now, the reason this makes a big difference is because in September of 2000, I was diagnosed with AIDS. And I was in the hospital, and my boyfriend at the time came to see me at the hospital once, just once. So on the way home in the car, Christian is driving, and I'm in the passenger seat, and without looking at him, I just said, if you want out, this is it. And he's like, what are you talking about? I said, if you want out of this, it's okay. It's like, I don't know what you mean. I said, what I'm saying is, if you want to break up with me now, I can tell people that I broke up with you, and we're okay. And he's like, that's not gonna happen. I said, well, just letting you know that if I'm going through treatment and you break up with me then, you're gonna be the guy that broke up with the guy that's going through cancer. And that's not gonna look very good for you, I'm just saying right now. And without skipping a beat, he goes, we got this. So I thought that going to chemo was gonna be like, this is real. But actually what happened is I had to go in for a surgery where they put in this little portacat in your chest. It's a little surgery, but it's basically where they pin the chemo into you. It's kind of like a little game of pin the chemo on the Mexican kind of game. That morning, I was nervous, I was having panic attacks, and to be quite honest, I was mad. But Christian, knowing me the way he did, he decided to just play with me, and he would be patient and make jokes. My favorite medicine, sarcasm. Because he knew that I am not a victim of life and I needed him to be there for me. Because there were times after treatment that I had chemo brain. And chemo brain made me think that every time he left the house, he would find somebody else that wasn't broken. And it made me think that all my friends didn't want to be my friends anymore because I wasn't well. The first time we went to treatment, there was a nurse there, and we waited for her to come and do the chemo. Now, let me tell you this, one of the cool things about having anal cancer is all the butt jokes. You have free range of them. So we're in the waiting room making a butt joke, and the nurse walks in and she says, I am so glad that you're laughing, because couples who laugh through hard times will make it. But if you break anywhere in that, it's over. So we made a pact that we were always gonna laugh. After treatment, there were some fistulas that were created. The thing about fistulas is that you can't control the stuff that comes out of them. If you know, you know. I had to wear diapers, and that wasn't the worst part. The worst part is that every time I changed my diaper, I had to take a shower. And every time I did that, he had to spray me with antibiotics so that I wouldn't get anything happen to me. That antibiotic stung, it hurt, and it made me mad every time I had to do it. So this one particular day, it must have been like the 5th or 6th shower, and I was just done. So I'm getting ready to go to bed, and Christian goes, babe, you need to change your diaper. and I knew what that meant. And that was the diaper that broke my back. I was done. I went hysterical. I had a panic attack. I'm like, I'm done. I'm through with this. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired of being this way. Now, let me clarify. I was not tired of living. I just didn't want to live that way anymore. I'm like, I'm through with this. Please, just do it. And he's like, do what? I'm like, end it. Just put a pillow over my head. Just finish me off. Put me out of my misery. He's like, that's not the way this works. I'm like, I'll write an email. I'll do a video. I'll call the police myself, and I'll tell them that I told you to do it. And he's like, babe, that's not the way it happens. I'm like, just do something. So he's a tall guy, and he did the best that he could. He held me tight, gave me my pain pill, and put me to bed. Now, truth be told, I am not a snuggler. But that night, I just needed to be held. So once in bed with a clean diaper, he held me tight, and I could just hear him say, we got this. The last day of treatment, the same nurse that put in my first chemo put in my last chemo. That day was 4th of July. So if you're keeping track, Cinco de Mayo, 4th of July, yeah. So we're still making butt jokes and we're still laughing, and she walks in and she goes, oh, it's you guys. And we're like, yes. She hears the laugh and she goes, I'm so glad you're still laughing. That means you made it. So just to finish off the story, we're still together. We still do butt jokes. We still celebrate Cinco de Mayo. And we got this. Thank you.